known by its map designation as Area 51.
We're now learning Area 51,
known as Area 51.
Thank you for
Near
clearing
Area
that up.
51.
Thank you.
Known as Area 51.
Because Area 51 is very important.
They called him Jimmy, and everybody wanted to be his friend.
Was good. Welcome here to Area 51 here with your host Jimmy James here. You know, just telling you the truth about boxing here in Area 51. You know, we try to expose everything that's happening in the world of boxing. We normally do shows in Spanish, just to let you know. Welcome. Give us a like here. And, you know, we like undisputed champions here. We like fighters who are facing the best in their category, at least the most dangerous versus the most dangerous. And, you know, there can only be one champion, the one who cleans up the division. I've always believed in that. So I think that's the way that boxers should be measured by, you know, undefeated. Not undefeated, actually, just undisputed, you know, and just clean up your division. So I don't care if you win or lose. The fact that you took the fight, you know, I'm already happy. I don't care if the fighter wins or loses. It doesn't make a difference to me. I just care that he takes the. If everybody fights everybody, they're all going to lose at the end of the day. I mean, that's just how boxing is historically. You can't get away from that. So anyway, give us a like. Also, you can visit our webpage, goldenerboxing.com, for those who are new. You can check our content there. It's mostly in Spanish, so sorry if you can't speak Spanish. But, you know, eventually we will put a webpage in English as well. You know, for all those who like boxing history, we have really good stuff there. So, you know, for right now, you can translate it, especially the history stuff, into English. And I think you'll get, you know, you'll get really interesting posts there. All right, so let's get into this. Let's get into it, okay? One of my favorite fighters, if not my favorite fighter, is Stephen Fulton. I've been watching Stephen Fulton for a long time. And he has, as a fighter, like if I was going to fight like somebody, you know, and I would fight like Stephen Fulton. And I've been to different boxing gyms, but I really like his style of boxing. He's a very complete fighter in every single way, shape, and form. He is very, very well trained. He is very well trained. He's very good in what he does. And the great thing about him is that he can adapt without the coach or the trainer telling him to adapt. That's a quality that very few fighters can do. A lot of times they need to hear, you know, a corner boy say, hey, you know what? You need to do this and do that. He doesn't need to do that. He knows what he's doing, and it's an organic style of boxing. It's not a mechanic style of boxing, right? Stephen Fulton has beat at least eight or nine undefeated fighters. I think 8, if I'm not mistaken. He fought Joshua Greer. That was a tough fight. You know, went through him. Isaac Avalar. He beat Angelo Leo. Angelo Leo was tough. Angelo Leo gave a sparring session to Amaliev, where Amaliev, you know, he was getting hit way too much. So you know that Amaliev was already scared when Angelo Leo had the WBO title, and he just didn't want anything to do with Angelo. But Angelo, like the man that he is, and I respect that a lot, he went and took Stephen Fulton. And that was a tough fight. And this time, I thought that Angelo was probably going to lose to Fulton, because Fulton is a really good fighter. So it was a good fight, a great fight. And Fulton beat him. And then he went for the heartbreaker, Brandon Figueroa. And that was another good fight where, you know, it was a close decision. But I think that Fulton did enough to beat him in that fight as well. Nothing against Brandon Figueroa. I actually told everybody that Brandon Figueroa was going to beat Luis Neri. A lot of people didn't believe me, but he did. So, but fighting Fulton is a different caliber. It's just you have to have a lot more than just coming forward. So Stephen Fulton, overall, whether you like him or not, he has fought everybody in his division, and he's not scared of fighting. And to be honest with you, the only fighter who doesn't even want to fight him is the guy who has the other 2 belts, and that's Amaliev. Amaliev is scared as shit to fight him because he knows he's going to probably get his ass whipped. If he struggled with Daniel Roman after he saw Daniel Roman versus Fulton, and Daniel Roman said, this guy is the best fighter. So not only did he saw how Fulton dominated Daniel Roman, but also Daniel Roman comes in the press afterwards and says, Fulton is the best fighter, in my opinion, in 122. So I can't say too much about Fulton because I think I said enough. Now let's talk about Naoya Inoue. I never liked him, to be honest. I never liked Naoya Inoue. I never did. When he was in 115 in that division, where he had Rumbing Sai and other fighter, Jerwin Ancajas, the Filipino fighter, he never unified or tried to become undisputed in that division. And to be honest with you, that division was more competitive than when he went to 118. But he pretty much did a lot of defenses. He defended his title a lot, but other than that, he never unified. And I have a huge problem with fighters that don't want to unify. So obviously you could say, well, they didn't want to fight him, right? But I didn't see him send any contracts. I didn't see him really try to push for these fights. I didn't see him do that. So I said, okay, yeah, he didn't fight these guys. And, he could have fought, who is this guy? Oh, Francisco Estrada. I think Estrada versus, it would be a great fight. But he never really took any of the challenges there. Khalid Jafai was there as well. Never took that fight. So the fighters he was taking are pretty mediocre. And a lot of them were of old age. And that's the best he's fought, to be honest. Now, when he went to 118, I said, okay, well, I hope he's going to fight Rigondeaux, because Rigondeaux has been avoided. A lot of people, I don't know why they hate Rigondeaux so much, but, I mean, the guy has been avoided. Maybe, he's Cuban, he doesn't sell too much, but it's not fair, because we shouldn't be going by that garbage of, oh, he's not selling. The guy should fight him. The people should fight Rigondeaux, right? He's a good fighter. So he didn't take Rigondeaux. It was the other Filipino who had the other title. I forgot his name. And then the Filipino guy beat Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux, pretty much he should have, in my opinion, he was trying to do what Willie Pep did, but in today's boxing, that doesn't work. I think it's a little bit shameful, to be honest, because at the end of the day, it's really who connects more, and not necessarily who is defending more. But, if you defend, and you're not landing shots, then now you have to choose, right? But that's neither here nor there. You might not like that style, but, Willie Pep, and it's time. He beat, what's his name? Graves, this guy. I forgot his full name, but he beat Graves and he didn't throw a punch. And that counted as a win. But, things have changed in boxing, obviously. But he didn't fight him. He didn't fight the other Filipino guy who beat Rigondeaux. I have it in my head, but it'll come out. And then he fought Nonito Nonaire in a fight where Nonito Nonaire is already, way past his prime. And the first fight, Nonito Nonaire actually did pretty good. He landed actually really good shots. The second fight, I think that Nonito Nonaire should have used more the jab and not try to make it a brawl, and I think that's why he lost. But it was Nonito Nonaire who fought Nordino Bali, the French guy, and got the title. So it was really the other Filipino guy and Nonito Nonaire, who were making all these fights, and pretty much Naoya Inoue just fought Nonito Nonaire. Styles make fights. You know, you have to fight other people in your division, not just wait for one guy to see if he's going to get all the belts. I mean, you see, this is when I start having problems with fighters like that, because you didn't unify anything at 115, and that was a better division, at least more competitive division. But now you come to 118, and you know, you fight Nonito Nonaire, and then you fight this this other fight. What was his name? Paul Butler, or I forgot what his name was. Andrew something. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, it's okay, but British fighters, in my opinion, I mean, you can count them with your fingers. Probably Tyson Fury is about the best you're going to see right now in boxing, and you can't count Josh Taylor because he's Scottish, so he represents something different. But that's about it. If you ask me, I can't think of anybody. I mean, Joshua Buatsi is coming up, but right now he didn't want to fight Dimitri Bivol or something like that, so that's not good news. Oh, and then you got the other guy too, which he seems okay. What's his name? Joy Joyce. I think he seems like a decent fighter. We'll see. We'll find out what happens once he fights other level of opposition. But, you know, very mediocre fighters that he's fought. And now he's undisputed. I did not have Naoya Inoue in my pound for pound top 10. I did not have him there. Sorry, I can't. I just can't. But I make it a rule that if they become undisputed, I have to do it because he cleaned up, you know, his division. But out of all the undisputed champions, when I put him in my list, which I have all the undisputed champions in the top of my list, he was probably the one who, you know, had the weakest of all undisputed. I mean, just being honest. Had he not been undisputed, he wouldn't be in my list right now. Now, I was shocked when he said that he wanted to fight Stefan Fulton. That shocked me, because I would have expected when Naoya Inoue that he would have actually chose Amaliev, because I think that's a more winnable fight. But he chose Fulton, and okay, wow, all right, so now you really want to challenge yourself. See, that to me is a real challenge. And I can't, you see, when you calculate the career of a boxer, you can't just look at it, okay, he's just fighting Fulton. You got to look at the whole resume. It's like when you look at Roy Jones, you can't just look at, you know, when he was just brilliant and, you know, fast and athletic. You also got to look when, you know, how he finished his career too, because we're going to study his whole career and what he did. To me, he didn't age as well as Bernard Hopkins, but that's just my opinion. I mean, in fact, he didn't age better than Bernard. Bernard Hopkins did a lot more than Roy Jones, and he lasted longer. But Naoya Inoue taking this challenge with Fulton is a sign that he dares to be great, at least with this fight. Okay, once again, what he did in the past, that's part of his career too. So you got to judge his whole career. But I first of all, I didn't believe it. It was hard for me to believe it. I've been very critical of Inoue. But then actually it was a possibility, and then apparently Fulton said that it was true, that he definitely was willing to take the fight, and it was serious, and they were in conversations, and now both of them are fighting, which is insane, which is outrageous, and they'll be fighting a few months from now. Now, my prediction with this fight, you know, is very simple. When I study both the opposition, because you got to study the opposition, a lot of the fighters that Naoya Inoue fought are pretty much, yeah, they have some experience. They are veterans. Nonito Nonaire probably the best one of all of them. But the guy was already, you know, past his prime. When I study the rivals of Fulton, you know, the guys he's fought 8 undefeated fighters and all in their prime. Okay? And he could have ducked some of these fighters. But because those fighters also wanted to fight, he wanted to fight, and it happened, right? So you got to give him a lot of credit for that. And I think that, okay, yeah, it's true. Naoya Inoue does have a strong punch. He can definitely, he can fight. But the problem is he going to catch Fulton? You see, that's the problem. Because it's not about just landing the punch, it's about catching the guy. And here's another problem. I have a rule in boxing, which I always tell people, and you can go ahead and copy it if you want, copy paste. But when the level of opposition goes up, the level of KOs goes down, generally speaking, with most boxers. There are exceptions to this rule, but I don't think Naoya Inoue is one of those fighters, to be honest. And outside of that, Fulton has a good chin, okay? Fulton was capable of receiving hard punches from Angelo Leo and also Brandon Figueroa, who is a dangerous inside fighter, okay, with a very unorthodox 50 style of boxing. And he was able to, withstand that power versus a fighter like Luis Neri, he had, he couldn't. And Luis Neri likes to go inside. So Fulton has that advantage already. He has the advantage of, he has a good jaw. Fulton throws the jab very well. And I think this is going to make a big difference in this fight. I think Fulton is going to take this guy out of range. And he's going to move in different directions, fight more bilaterally, and get away from, interchanging and then just boxing him. And I think it's not going to look, really good. He's good. I think Naoya Inoue is going to look very primitive with his style. And I'm going to tell you what this fight might look like. Okay, this fight might look like Oscar Valdez when he fought Shakur Stevenson, because Oscar Valdez was trying to find his range. He couldn't. Shakur Stevenson just used the jab, couple steps back, used the jab. He was outpointing him, and then he wasn't getting hit at the same time. And the problem is that because he was switching angles, it was hard for Oscar Valdez to come on in and do his type of boxing. He had to give it all, but it was just too much. He got overwhelmed. In the case of Devin Haney with Kambosos was the same thing. Kambosos is a fast fighter. What he did with Teofimo Lopez worked with Teofimo Lopez, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work with Devin Haney. And Devin Haney just, totally nullified him, right? But I will say this. Devin Haney had more problems with Jojo because Jojo's a more experienced fighter in the inside than he did with Kambosos. I think Jojo was a more difficult fight for Haney. And I think it's probably going to be, you're probably looking in this fight a Devin Haney result versus Jojo Diaz. I think Stefan Fulton I think Naoya Inoue is going to cause some problems, but I don't even think Naoya Inoue is as good as an inside fighter as Jojo. I think Jojo is a really good inside fighter. And people say, well, how can you say that? He's lost. Well, listen, he's lost against really good opposition. It's not against, if you fight everybody that's tough, you're going to lose. It's just part of boxing, okay? If you don't, undefeated records, that's a very rare occasion. And, I'm not going to get into Floyd Mayweather Jr., but he also avoided certain black fighters as well. People don't want to talk about. He liked to get Latino fighters and fight against them, okay? And that's one of the reasons, in my opinion, why he remained undefeated. That's just my opinion, okay? But I just don't think that Naoya Inoue really is this type of fighter. Now, of course, if Fulton were to lose this fight, it's really, in my opinion, more because of Fulton's mistakes than because of Naoya Inoue's quality and technique. But I just think that Fulton is just going to be too much for this guy, and I think that I salute him for taking the fight, but I just don't see him fighting Fulton. Now I know there's a lot of Naoya Inoue fans, and they say, well, Fulton is whatever. But listen, I'm not convinced with Naoya Inoue. I'm just not. If he had different opposition, if he would have fought the Estradas and the Ancajas, and he would have fought the Rigondeaux and all these different fighters, I think it would have actually helped him get more experience against a fighter like Fulton. But when you don't take that sort of opposition, especially the ones that know how to box a little better, I just, Nonito Nonaire is just not enough. It's just not enough. So I expect Fulton not only to win this fight, but this could possibly be a stoppage too. This could possibly go into a TKO. This could go into TKO. I think Naoya Inoue is going to get a little bit frustrated in the fight. I think that when he gets jabbed more than he needs to, he's going to start to commit certain mistakes. I think Fulton will tie him up when he needs to, so that's going to shut down Naoya Inoue's, aggression. And, once he ties him up, Fulton is a real master at it. I think he's going to open himself up for a counter, and I think that might be this is going to end up either unanimous decision, tell you right now, or TKO. It's going to be on the two, but for Fulton, I don't see any way Naoya Inoue beats this man. I just don't see it. In fact, I have to say, in my opinion, that out of all the fighters that are coming up, I say Stefan Fulton is the most complete fighter right now in the world, as far as his style, and he's proven it with the opponents that he's fought. A very, very talented individual. It's just too much for the Japanese guy, And I thank Fulton for actually taking the fight, because I think he's gonna become a star, and he deserves it. The guy deserves it. I mean, you got to give this guy credit. If you don't give Fulton credit, you either are racist. Or I don't know, there's something wrong with you, but you should be giving this guy credit. He deserves it. There are other fighters like Gervonta Davis who get all this credit, but he hasn't fought anybody, in my opinion. But Fulton has been taking hard challenges the whole time. I mean, nonstop. He hasn't ducked anybody. In fact, they're ducking him. And he doesn't get the credit. And I think he should get more money than Gervonta Davis and all these, Canelo and all these fighters, in my opinion. Just like Jojo should too, for taking more risks. But anyway, that's just a different story. So I got Stefan Fulton beating this guy. I think it's just it's going to be a masterclass, in my opinion. And this fight will be coming up soon, and I think we're going to see a new star arise, and well deserved. So I got Stefan Fulton, unanimous decision, TKO. That's how I see the fight. Anyway, give us a like here if you like the analysis. I give predictions here. I'm not always right, of course. If I was always right, I probably wouldn't be here. But I do hit the nail, for the most part. And, subscribe. Take a look at goldenerboxing.com. And we will see you later, alligator. And Hagone, like the natives say in New Mexico. So peace up, and to the next video. Deuces cruces.